to join our weekly Zoom meetings. And I'm always looking forward to this opportunity of having you around despite the despite the physical distance. It's always good to have you eager to learn. And it shows your commitment to your studies. This afternoon, I'm Zooming from home. I'm not by the sea. So I'm just warning you, if you hear my dogs barking or my kids talking, it's because I'm at home. My sick leave is about to end 5 o'clock tomorrow. I'll be back at work as well. So if we have at least, I'm counting, if we have up to 20, we will make a start. I'm counting, if we have up to 20, we will make a start. While we are admitting people, if anyone has been pressing question they would like to ask before we make a start.
Mrs. Effrel, I have got a question I would like to ask concerning the reading for this week.
Yes.
I've managed to download all the other ones, but there's one with the global text. It said I could not attend video, download video 3 unless reading 4 for global text. But I couldn't find the reading. Are we referring back? Because I know that I've downloaded the global book in the previous week. Is that the one, or do we have a separate? Yeah, in the beginning, but is that the same one, or we have a different reading for now in the global text one?
Okay, it's the same text, but I have added in to week 9 section again, so that you don't have to go back to week 1 to upload. So it might stop you from moving on to the video because it's uploaded as well, unless you're not seeing it. But I think it should be there.
I did not see that on my Moodle, so I did not download. So I can't open the. But I'll check again.
I think I've uploaded, but I'll thank you for reminding me. But I'm sure if I uploaded Friday, I populate Moodle, but I'll check again. Thank you for that. So it's the global text, right? So it's reading 4.
Yes, global text reading 4. Thank you.
Thank you, Thelma. Anyone else? Anyone else has any pressing issues? People who are calling to ask about how to do their video, don't worry, we will go through the video presentation this afternoon. And also, while we are on the guides, I'd like to thank Mr. Lawi for preparing a short video clip about why we have restrictions and how you can bypass the restrictions. I think he explained in very simple Ishlama, and also the steps are quite easy. If you have actually listened to his presentation, I did this morning, you should be able to get through with why you're not accessing. But I'd like to thank those who actually did not, were not able to access the readings and everything. And we managed to go back and forth. Some people were wanting to give up, but then I saw them, they managed to go through and they finally post in week 7 forum, week 8 forum. And I'm looking forward to seeing them post in week 9. So it shows that, yes, you can break down Moodle barriers. You can break down when you're determined to study. So that's a plus for people who actually were able to get through. Those of us who are still not able to get through, just keep on following the simple steps. And if you actually follow what Mr. Lawi has prepared, was it yesterday or this morning, you should be able to get through as well, unless you are not downloading from my course and you're using navigation and the blocks, then it will be blocking you as well. Right, if I think we have over 25 people. If I'm counting people in the background, welcome Salas from Amrem. Welcome the ERATAB ladies. I can see Caroline and Mother. I hope they're joining together or if they're joining separately, but welcome this afternoon. Anna from Mona, thank you so much for joining this afternoon. Let us make a start, shall we? Yes. Did you all hear me?
Yes.
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 That was loud and right. So we will make a start. I'm supposed to share this. Oh, what am I doing? Right, you can see my screen. And as usual, if along the way there's interruption, like I said, I'm zooming from home. If there's interruption, please you interrupt me and let me know that yes, my screen has frozen and you're not seeing what I am going through. Otherwise, welcome to week 9. Out of the 16 weeks, we have 7 more weeks to go. So please make sure that you keep up. And our notices for this week, our first one is so far we have 13 forums. And I would like to thank each and every one of you who have patiently and equally contribute from forum 1 up to forum 12, which is for last week. And this week we have forum 13. So please make sure that you spend your time wisely. We are in June. Before we notice, our assignment 2 will be due and assignment 3 will be due as well. And we will be closing by end of next month. Week 9 content is open. Pending completion of task from week 6. If you are falling behind, do not panic. Just make sure that you keep up. And just so that we do not fall back on things that we have been doing all along. Today, we are looking at the last habit of highly effective people, which is habit number 7. Habit number 7 says that we need to sharpen the soul. What does it mean to sharpen the soul? Sharpen the soul means preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, which is you, which is me. It means we're having a balanced program for self-renewal in the 4 areas of our lives. That is our physical being. We need to make sure that we are looking after ourselves. Our social and emotional beings. Make sure that you stay positive all the time. Make time to spend social life. Laugh with your families. Laugh with your friends. Your mental being. Think about things that make you happy. And not forget your spiritual being as well. As people who belong to a Christian nation, we are called to make sure that we do our part as a spiritual being as well. So that is the last part of the 7 habits of highly effective people. Even though we have our studies, we have our work, but don't forget that you have yourself. You are entitled to making sure that you stay healthy, the physical being, that you do something different once in a while, socialize with people that you've never been with before, contribute to churches that you do not belong to, and make sure that your mental state of mind is always good. As I can relate, studies are showing these days that most anxieties are not related to food and daily, but it relates to the way we think and we bring about our emotions. The more we stay negative, we are the ones who are creating sicknesses as with respect to us ladies. Most times we cannot express our emotion, our negative emotions, and when we store them, they become the diseases like high blood pressure, cancer, and stuff like that. So make sure that you look after yourself. Also, your physical being. Do not just sit and eat and think that, no, I'm okay because I'm living out in the island. Make sure that you make time to go out and exercise. Do something different. And don't forget to give yourself a treat once in a while. If you need to buy a dress that costs about 5,000 baht, so what? Go ahead and do it. It's your money. It's your sweat. We don't have to spend on our kids or our spouses and like this all the time. And that is about the 7 habits of highly effective people. The next one is attending in focus. Now that we have assignments that they due almost a week after another, make sure that you're working smart. And when you are attending to your task, make sure that you're doing it with a willing mind and a willing heart. Because the Almighty is looking at us when you're angry and you're doing your work, you won't produce anything good. And remember, this is your own benefits, and make sure that you do it and you give your best shot. Just remind us, our assignment to video presentation is due next week, Friday, the latest by Sunday. So make sure that you're preparing your work and make sure that you send in good time. Assignment 2, the research project is due in week 14, which is the 15th of July and latest by the 17th of July. And the last one, the second part of the reflective essay is due on the 29th of July. Right, I am going to go through our assignment 2 again, just which has already started and it's due next week. It carries 50 raw marks and its weight is 30% of your total 100%. And the presentation should last about 10 to 15 minutes.
Excuse me, Ms. Effrel.
Yes.
Excuse me. Yeah, this is a Tana group. We couldn't hear you well, maybe because of the network system or what. Could you please repeat the assignment? What you have just said about the assignment? Can you repeat that again? Assignment 2, or you say something about the assignment?
Okay, Namaha, if you're following from the screen and this, if you're not hearing me well, this Zoom is recorded. So when it's uploaded, you can listen to again. So what I
Okay.
was saying is that it's due next week, Friday. You must email me by Friday or latest by Sunday, next Sunday, through email. Do not call me and say I have da. Okay? Right. So what are you supposed to do? The theories to be assessed are, you have constructive alignment, functionalism and pragmatism. You have behaviorism theory, Gestalt psychology theory, constructivism, social constructivism, social learning theory, and social and cultural theories. Out of these 8 theories, you choose 2. For instance, I can choose Gestalt psychology and cognitive or social learning theory and compare them. So in your task, you choose 2 of those and you have to critically examine, that is, you compare and contrast. So you look at the strength. For example, you look at the strength of, the characteristics of Gestalt psychology. How do we use them? And then you look at social constructivism. What are its benefits or its strength, and you compare them. Remember that there are 2 different theories. One cannot be more dominant than the other. We're just analyzing them. And then you look at where and how do we use them in our classrooms in Vanuatu. Do not talk about how they use in USA or Canada or wheresoever. How do we apply them in our contexts? How do you apply them in Tana? How do you apply them in Pentecost or Shefa or any other places? Think about your practice. Most of you here, they have more than 10 or 12 years of teaching experience. So you have a vast amount of experience to throw from. You just need to connect them to these 2 theories that you have chosen. Your guiding questions are: define, describe, and compare the 2 theories according to sources consulted. It means you cannot just talk about them, you need to support them with references. What are the practical applications for the 2 theories? What implications does each theory have on teaching and learning. And the fourth one is how would you contextualize these theories to the Vanuatu context? For example, I was relating to Gestalt and social constructivism. If you find that any one of the two does not relate or cannot be contextualized to Vanuatu context, how can you contextualize it? Otherwise, to me, just about all of them are applicable in our context, and we have already been using them without actually noticing that these are these different type of theories. Moving on. Right. I'm just giving you an option of how should you prepare your individual video presentation. There are several ways of preparing the video. And number one and foremost, by now you should type up the entire content of your presentation. Just type it in a Word document from the title page, your introduction, your body, your conclusion, and your reference list. So once you have typed it up in your Word document, there are two ways of how you can prepare for your presentation. Number two, if you're looking at number two, you can actually keep your work, but it will be too much. So you can vary. In a Word document, go to where you will see on your top left corner of your screen, you see the word file. You click on file, but instead of selecting save or save as, go and click on export as a PPT. Okay, click on export. So once you click on export, you will see this word here appearing, create a PDF / XPS document. Okay, so you have already prepared your presentation, but in a Word document. So you just click on file, you select export, then you create XPS document. It will drop down an arrow, drop down box, save as XPS, and then you can locate to what you want to save your file, location to save. You can either click on the same file that you have actually to your Word document, and then it will give you the last option with the publish. So what is happening here is that the computer has changed your Word document. Instead of you flipping through, it has already changed it to a PDF and also single page like you will normally see in a PowerPoint presentation, and it does that for you. Okay, so I will repeat one more time. You click on file, export, create XPS document, save as XPS, and then you save it in whichever file and you click publish. So it will become a PDF file, as well as it will be some sort of slides that you can use. And number three, or the most way that we are encouraging you to use, select a PowerPoint, and then you copy and paste the title page, your introduction, your body, your conclusion, and your reference list. After you have done all this, make sure that you do not copy every single thing that you have typed up from the Word document. Your PowerPoint slides should contain less than 20 sentences or less than 10 sentences. So you're just putting in the main PowerPoints, the main points, because you're going to present. Now, number 4 point, practice presenting in front of a camera. Once you are satisfied that, yes, I am ready to do my presentation. For example, you have, let's use a Dana group or the Central School group. So you have your slides ready. So Albert would be the one doing the presentation. Elma could be the one sitting beside his computer so that Albert can signal to Elma when to move on to the next slide. And Madam Tayan could be the one, could be their camera person. So make sure that you're standing at least 2 or 3 meters away from your friend. So while your friend is presenting, make sure that the person is speaking loud. Your whatever device you're using, either a video camera or you're using the main camera or using the camera from your phone, make sure the battery is fully charged. And you press the volume to the loudest because you need to get the voice, the presenter's voice, and the presenter, when you're presenting, pretend that I am the one who is taking your picture. So make sure you focus on the camera as well. And please, I will repeat this, do not read from the slide, and make sure you're not blocking your slides because we need to see your slide. Once you send me the video, I am going to look at the slide and I'm going to listen. Okay, so make sure that you have those 3 people, and instead of you running away from your presentation to press the next slide, you have other people to do that for you. Then you can swap over. Then it's Diane's turn to present. Daniel can be the camera person, and Elmer can continue to do the presentation. Press the buttons on the laptop to make sure that the presentation is not it continue. And you have to do it where there's no noise, no kids running around. So it's best you do it over the weekend when no one is around, or unless your house is really quiet. And make sure that you're properly dressed, not in new clothes, but at least formal. Okay, so I don't want to see you sending me a nice video and I'm just hearing your voice. I need to see your face so that this is your genuine work. Your presentation, when you're choosing the slide, make sure it is not really colorful. Remember that this is a formal presentation. Any slide design that is plain, it's okay. Make sure that your font sizes is the same. New Times Romance, you can increase the font size, but make sure you keep it not really using colors that, for example, yellow. I, for one, cannot see yellow. So if your presentation is in yellow, I'm sorry, I might give you a 0 if I'm not reading your slide. So just keep it either black. You can use red for your heading. You can use dark blue and dark green, but not really fancy. And do not use a lot of pictures. If you're using pictures, make sure you're making reference to them. Number 5, keep to 10 minutes when recording and editing, because marks will be given to, if you send them over, but we cannot hear your voice, you lose marks. So make sure that you turn on the volume and everything else. And number 6, like I've said earlier, send via email. Use your student email to send to effrel.morris@vite.edu.bu by the 17th of June. Do not send it to my Gmail, because if the video capacity is too much, it might not send it through, but the Outlook email has a lot of space. So that is why we're encouraging you to use your student email. If you're not sure whether your email is working or not, send me a test email. Just send me a test email using your student email that the institution has given you, just to see if it's working or not. So far, out of the 99 of us or 100 of us, there's only 2 people who have actually sent me emails using their student email. Right, so that's about it for our announcements and explanation for assignment number 2. All the best of luck. I won't repeat this next week, but I'm hoping to receive all your assignment by next week. So please continue to try your best. Find time to complete them and send them over. Let's do away with the spirit of excuses and finding things instead of owning up to our spirit of procrastination. I wish you all the best, and I'm looking forward to receiving your assignments. Anything that you're not sure, do not wait until Friday morning to call me. Call me between now and Thursday to ask for help. Just yesterday alone, I have 3 or 4 people out in our islands calling. Can you explain to me how can I do my video presentation? No one is an expert in this. Just like you, I'm still learning as well. So if you're asking won't kill you. So make sure that you ask for help in good time. Otherwise, we are going to move straight to our presentation for today. Just a background note on in our connection from last week, we were looking at information processing theory. And what we are going to look at today is also part of last week's topic, information processing and filter model of attention. In the stage of information processing, we have several stages of how we acquire information or we process information in our brain. The first one being that of sensory storage, pre-storage for information in its original sensory form. For instance, if you hear a child crying or if you see a baby crawling, so it goes in through our sensory store. And then the next part is the filter. This is the part of attention that we will look at in which some perceptual information is blocked out or not recognized, while other information is attended to and recognized. For example, if you hear a child crying, you only hear the child, but you're not seeing it. And you also see the baby crawling. Now, you choose which one are you going to attend to? Are you going to attend to the crying part or you're going to focus on the crawling of the baby? Pattern recognition, the state in which a stimulus is recognized. Oh, yes, the baby needs help or the baby is hungry. Selection, the states that determines what information a person will try to remember. Okay, I think the baby is somebody's, it belongs to so and so. Short-term memory with limited capacity that lasts for about 20 to 30 seconds without attending to its content. So we are only seeing the baby crawling and crying. And in the long-term memory has no capacity limit and lasts from times to a lifetime. Probably after 20 or 30 years later, you meet an adult, but you can still recall that it was a baby that was crawling and crying away from a house or fire or out on the grass, but you can still recall because the memory has been stored in the long-term memory part of our brain. So today we are looking at the filter or the part of attention. Right, so the process associated with information processing theory, and the area that we will look at today is attention. These are improvements as seen in selective attention, the process by which one focuses on one stimulus while thinking out another. As well as divided attention, it is the ability to pay attention to two or more stimuli at the same time. So it brings us to our last subtopic 4, major topic 3, which is attention. And attention is part of information processing theory. So by the end of this week, you should be able to first explain the different types of attention. Number 2, distinguish the different types of attention in teaching and learning. Show confidence in implementing attention to learning and collaborate with others in sharing the principles and strategies of attention. So what is attention in psychology? Every day we say or you hear, we use the term attention. May I have your attention, please? Or we hear the troops or the forces say attention and you see them moving in uniform. So according to one of the most influential psychologists of this century, William James, he said, attention is the taking possession by the mind in clear and vivid form of one out of what seem several simultaneously objectives of thought. So it is about our focusation, concentration of consciences that we are aware of, and it implies that we withdraw from other things in order to deal effectively with others. And James also held the notion that attention makes humans perceive, conceive, distinguish, and remember more effectively and speed their reactions. So, when we talk about attention with the human beings, we are not talking about animals, we are only talking about the human beings. That although the human experience is determined by the way people direct their attention, it is evident that we do not have control over such direction. For instance, I may be talking to you, but I'm also looking at other things. You are listening to my voice, but you may be writing, you may be doing other things because we have no control over how we pay attention. There are examples of times when an individual has difficulty concentrating attention on a task or a conversation or a set of events. And other times, an individual attention is captured by an unexpected event rather than voluntarily directed towards it. There are also events taking place within the body that affect attention, just as there are representations of past events stored in one's memory but accessible to awareness under appropriate circumstances. For those of you who have accessed the files or the attachments for this week, there is a great video about how we pay attention. People were playing basketball, and there was this gorilla standing on the background. There are two things. People may notice the uniform of the basketball players, but may not see the gorilla, or they may see the gorilla but fail to see people playing basketball. Just like you're walking along the road or you're walking past a lot of people, you only pay attention to certain people. Maybe they have stopped to talk to you or call out your name, or you may be in a crowd talking with your friends and someone call you instantly. You stop talking to them and you give your attention to the person who have called you over your friends. So even though our friend William Chase also did research on them, in 1906 performance of a task charge or require a high degree of attention. This is when you are attending to a task. How good you do it, it depends on how well you are giving your attention to that task. The second measure is the dimension attention through decreased performance. And the third one cuts the strength of attention by the stimulus level required to distract the individual. So it depends, the task that we are doing each day, for example, you're teaching or you're preparing a meal for your family or doing anything. How well we are doing it depends on how well we are paying attention to the task at hand, or just with our eyes, but with our mind and with our hands as well. The different types of attention that we have around us. First one is arousal, refers to our activation level and the level of alertness, whether we are tired or energized. I know it's almost 4 o'clock and you have been teaching. By this time, it's up to you, either your level of alertness or you are tired or your energy has been used up, but you're still alert. The next one is the sustained or focused attention. It is our ability to continuously maintain focus on a task or event over a long period of time. And this type of attention is called vigilant. And this comes with our inner emotion as well of making sure that, oh, I am determined to make sure that I complete this. Next one is the selective attention, the ability to direct attention and focus on a thought, on a task without interruption or interference from either external or internal factors or stimuli. I'd like to dwell on the fact that sometimes we lack the ability to select. For instance, I am at my home and there may be a feast or wedding going on in the yard, and instantly we start complaining about the music. It's so loud that we cannot focus. So we are paying attention to those music, but we're not making an effort to throw out those external stimuli. We have the power, which is our internal practice, that we can block out those noises by ignoring it and choose to focus on what we think is important. Next one is the alternating attention, the ability to rapidly shift focus from one task to another. Processing speed, the rate at which the brain performs a task. It will eventually vary according to the task and depending on other cognitive functions involved. It is measured by the elapsed time between the onset of a stimulus and the individual's response. For instance, I'll give an example probably to, I'm going to use Thelma and Pamina. Maybe they're standing by Kawano Gate and they're telling stories, and suddenly a bus drove by and someone called out to Thelma that she needs to get in the bus because there has been an accident. So, you know how women react to this? She will either quickly explain to Pamina that she is leaving, and the person in the bus is telling her to hurry up. So you know how our body reacts. You want to continue the story with Pamina, but she needs to get away. So this is alternating attention. You're giving your attention to two things happening at the same time. Next one is divided attention, the ability to attend to different stimuli or attention at the same time. In other words, we can say multitasking. Okay, I am talking to you, but I'm also moving my fingers across the keyboard to make sure I'm jumping to the next slide without actually thinking much about it. The next one is hemi-neglect attention, great difficulty or inability to direct attention to one side, usually the left or external space or one's own body. Now, sometimes when we are focusing and things get by, we are actually not even paying attention to, or we might say that, oh, you did not see it happening. This is what this is referring to. Either we intend to or we do not intend to. It's just our body's way of reacting to not paying attention to certain things. And the last one, inattentional blindness. It is the failure to notice the fully visible but unexpected object because attention was engaged on another task, event, or object. I'd like to refer this to when you're really busy and let's say you're moving between different rooms in the classroom or one child to another, you did not notice that there's a pencil or something on the floor, and you step on it. And then you look down and saw that, yes, you've actually stepped on something, maybe blood is dripping out, or you've hit yourself at a corner of a table or a bench, and you start screaming, even though the bench is really fully visible, but yet you bumped into it. So this is an example of inattentional blindness. We just don't see things in front of us. Right, and the reading that you are seeing right now, you might already hear this in EDPS 111, or you will look at this in semester 2 with inclusive education, but I'm just bringing it out to us because it's to do with attention. We have average and we have normal people around us, and we also have people with some attention deficit. Okay, now I want you to pay attention and start thinking about the children in your classroom. There is a condition called attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or in short, it's called ADHD. Those of us who have attended workshops in special needs or assisting children, you may have heard this word. So what exactly is this? It is a problem with sustaining attention and controlling impulses. As students, almost all of us have these problems at one time or another, but a student with ADHD shows them much more frequently than usual and often at home as well as at school. Normal ones, they will either do it at home, but not at school, or they will do it at school, but not at home. So in a classroom, the student with ADHD may fidget, they may scream a lot, they may have trouble remaining seated, or continually get distracted and off task, or they have trouble waiting for a turn, or they play out answers and comments without the teachers asking for their turn. The student may shift continually from one activity to another, or have trouble playing quietly or talk excessively without listening to others. Or the student may misplace things and seem generally disorganized, or be inclined to try risky activities without enough thought to the consequences. These are the types that they're always forgetting where did they put their slippers or pencils, and teachers get mad. But if you look carefully, maybe the child has ADHD, but not all. And although the list of problems behavior is obviously quite extensive, let's keep in mind that students do not do all of these things. It's just over time that student with ADHD is likely to do several of them chronically or repeatedly and in more than one setting. So in the classroom, of course, the behaviors may annoy classmates and they frustrate teachers. So how can we differentiate whether they are high or they are low? And remember, there are two different things. It's attention deficit, and the other one is hyperactivity disorder. So the difference in perception is that high activity, it is important to note that classrooms are places that make high demands, not only showing the behavior. So students, we often expect them to sit for long periods and avoid interrupting others, or they must finish their task after beginning them. And they keep in their mind that materials need to be organized. So classroom life may sometimes aggravate. We are the one who trigger ADHD without the teacher intending for it to do so. If you expect students, little ones in year 1, 2, and 3 to sit still for 2 hours, my friend, you must be a special kind of patient teacher. A teacher with a student with only a mild or occasional tendency to be restless, for example, may fit in well outdoors playing soccer, but feel and usually restless indoors during class. It also should not be surprising that teachers sometimes mistake a student who is merely rather active for a student with ADHD. Maybe it would be related to how we do not set out routines, we do not explain classroom rules to them, or probably because they have had food that contain a lot of sugar and the child has become hyper. And to not forget that sometimes, even they are doing this, we tend to be overly judgmental. And let's not forget that it's most likely to happen to boys than girls. And presumably because the gender role expectation causes teachers to be especially alert to high activity in boys. Overdiagnosis is also especially for students who are culturally or linguistically non-Anglo. The ones that we're having nowadays, since our policy have given them freedom to express themselves in any language, they will interrupt us anytime as we are teaching. But that doesn't mean the child has ADHD. It's just because the language barrier has been broken, so they have the freedom to talk and they like to interrupt, especially in the lower class. So to avoid making such mistake, it is important to keep in mind that through ADHD, they will show signs of restlessness, activity, and they're distractively throughout the day, throughout the week, and it is constant. So if you have such, it's good to study them carefully before you start assuming that this child has ADHD. They're not only in young children, but they're also in adults as well. And a student who shows such problems at school, but never at home, for example, may not have ADHD. He may simply not be getting along with his teacher or classmates, and he's looking for attention. Now, Since we're talking about the strength and we have talked about the conditions that can also lead to some students misbehaving, there are also limitation of attention. That is, attention is limited in terms of both capacity and duration. Therefore, effectively manage the attention resources we have available in order to make sense of the world. So like I said earlier, we cannot control our attention, our capacity or duration of how do you focus. It depends entirely on an individual and our determination to do so. But otherwise, each one of us will struggle to find out how long can they focus. We're moving on to attention and teaching. The videos that I have uploaded will also give you further enhancement of techniques that you can use in your practices or in your classes. And in attention and teaching, the two goes hand in hand. The first step in learning is paying attention. Students cannot process information if they do not recognize or perceive it. So make sure that when we want teaching to happen and learning to happen, make sure our students are giving their attention to us. And also, we make sure that what we're teaching get or grab their attention. Many factors in the classroom influence students' attention. Eye-catching or startling displays or actions can draw attention at the beginning of a lesson. Understanding attention in teaching and learning allow what you want your students to pay attention to stand out. For instance, what you can see is bold and also there in red and black, so it stood out clearly from where you can see. Focus on what's important. Ignore a great deal of competing information and stimuli, it can affect your attention. Also, avoid distractions to complete assigned tasks. Example, once you give out activities for students to be doing, give instructions at the beginning of the task. And when you see everyone paying attention and giving all their focus to completing the task, don't interrupt them. Just let them carry on and finish their work. Then of information or sensation and perceptions that are not relevant at the moment. You have been enjoying a moment of reading a book and you've asked them to throw the pictures. So turn off the information by probably removing the book, because then the little ones will not be able to. You are the one who is dealing with the information. Focus your energy on the information that's important in specific. So if you're teaching about the trees, focus on the trees. Don't go and talk about other things. And some strategies of using attention in class. Some teachers may move to a particular spot. Maybe they will start waving their hand, they may flick on the lights, they may tap on the table, they may clap their hands. Some might give short, clear instructions before, but not during the transition of lessons, especially in primary. A teacher might begin a lesson on air pressure by blowing up a balloon and daily pops. Bright colors, underlining, highlighting of written or spoken words, calling students by name, surprise events, including questions, variety in task and teaching methods, and changes in voice level, lighting or pacing can all be used to gain attention. And also, all students have to maintain attention and they have to stay focused on the important features of the learning situation at all times. This is reminding us that when we are teaching, do not overload with so many informations that it's hard to them to pay attention to each one. Just make sure that it's enough for whatever level you're teaching, and also make sure that you grab your attention before you start teaching. Summary of the attention stage. Attention is the ability to actively process specific information in the environment while turning out the other details. Attention is limited. Students need to focus on attention for students to learn. We need to create lessons that would capture students' attention. Teachers must interrupt students who are not focusing. and attention can be maintained or lost. And that is the end of our presentation for this afternoon. Thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to do so. If you have not fallen asleep, please say something. Anyone?
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Effrel, for the very well presentation. Mrs. Sergio's got a question she would like to ask you concerning the video presentation.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, Mrs. Morris. The PowerPoint presentation that we're going to send over concerning the video presentation is going to be of two. One is the video presentation where actually we're talking and then somebody has to video us. And then the next one is just the slides. I'm talking about the slides. Is that going to be sent also?
No,
Just the video
can-
presentation.
just the video, and whatever you have should be on the, if there, for example, if you have 20 slides, there is the whole presentation should be on the slide, not a separate thing. Cannot separate it. It's just the video and the recording. Unless you think that it's important to send both, then you can send both. But we are only interested in your, because if you look at the marking criteria, it's asking you to prepare the slide. So the two events are embedded together. You have already prepared your slide. Now you're presenting it, even though I'm not physically there, but I will see through the video. Okay.
Okay,
So-
thank you very much.
So unless if you feel that yes, I need to send this, then you can send it. But otherwise, I can always follow it from the video. But it's always good to send both. Any more questions regarding your assignment or the content that we've just gone through? Anyone? Everybody's happy? They're clear? Just a reminder, once you, yes, go ahead.
Yes, Luoy Primary School, Alan Thompson. Thank you for the presentation. Like someone already asked about the video presentation. It's Miss Lau or Mr. Laui has sent us instruction about how we can record ourselves using PowerPoint, and he stated that we are going to use PowerPoint with 2016 upwards. That means we are going to use a laptop, and from the slide that you have presented, you've pointed out that we should be using projector, and people, two people, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, will be there to either record us.
Alan, I'm just using those as examples, unless you're really good at setting up a video recording
But
device, and you can
I'm just
record yourself, that's okay.
asking if I'm going to try my best.
Alan, can you repeat yourself and stop walking? Just stand where it's clear so we can hear you.
Put myself. Okay, can you hear me? I'm just having queries about the two instructions, yours and Mr. Lawi. That is why I'm asking. So, what you told me now, that I can use any means if I'm good of recording or someone good to record me. I can
It's good.
use the person.
Alan, thank you. We're not restricting you from asking help from other people. I'm just saying and assuming that probably some of you have already experienced recording themselves. Other people may not have experienced recording themselves. That is why we are offering the options that yes, you can set up your slide however you want according to the instructions given, or you can have other people assist you. Just as long as your recording is clear, the volume is there, we can actually read the slide, and you need to edit before you send. So that is why I am proposing that you can have at least 2 other people to assist you. But if you're
Okay,
by yourself and you know what you're supposed to be doing, that's good on you. Go ahead. Am I
Okay.
clear?
Yes, you are clear.
Thank you.
Yes, before I finish, I'd like to thank Mr. Lawi for the instruction. His instructions are very clear. I hope if I try it, it will work. Thank you, Mr. Lawi.
Yes. Keep trying, make sure you practice before you do the final recording. So you can practice and delete before you actually do the last one. But don't practice until you have actually completed your PowerPoint. Any more questions from
Okay,
anyone
yes,
from
as
our
I
other
mentioned,
islands?
Mr. Lawi says,
Alan, are you done or you still have something to say?
I'm done. Mr. Lawi's instructions are very clear. He says that just work one slide at a time. When you make mistake, you can erase it and continue recording until when you are satisfied. You save that one and then you continue doing all your slides. And then he instructed, as I mentioned, his instructions are very clear. So I'm thankful for his instruction. Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing them. As long as they're 10 minutes, that's it. If they're more than 10 minutes, up to 15, you're losing marks as well. So make sure you keep to the assigned allocated time. And also an information to all of you, make sure that when you have typed up and you are recording, do not forget to go and check with the marking criteria. You also have marks for ICT skills. So make sure that you take note of those as well. Any other questions, anyone, or any comments anyone would like to raise before we finish up? We're all clear, happy?
Thank you,
Happy.
Ms. Effrel. This is Tana Group.
Yes,
Tafia. Yeah.
we're listening.
Thank you, Effrel. Okay, what you have just presented now was clear, sort of like it's a PowerPoint presentation, so it will be our first time. So it's like a prepared talk that we will be preparing. So I think the marking criteria that you have mentioned is the key, or that will be guiding us. So it's best for us students to see what's in the marking criteria that will guide us in doing a good presentation to get the marks. Thank you.
Thank you, Naama. Anyone else would like to say anything before we finish up? Everyone is clear. Otherwise, you have my phone number. You have other ways of communicating. Anything, like I said earlier, between now and Thursday next week, don't wait until the last minute and you're stuck. Then you start running around looking for information. Make sure you ask help from other people. And like Alan has said, the instructions are quite simple and clear. Just go through. All of us are learning. No one has perfect their practice unless they begin. So take the first step, type up your assignment, and then start practicing what you're supposed to be doing. Otherwise, thank you so much for your participation this afternoon, your patience and your time. Until Tuesday next week, have a lovely evening. Take care for yourself and your family. Thank you again, Mr. Lawi, for being patient and hosting for us this afternoon. All the best, and I look forward to receiving your assignments. You don't have to wait until Friday next week if you're ready and you would like to hand in between now, and then you're more than welcome to do so. Otherwise, have a blessed evening and a blessed week as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Effrel.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the presentation. Evening.
Yeah.
Carlson, if you're still with us, you can leave you can close the meeting for